We're unmuted, obviously. Right, everyone can hear us. We've got Lori jumping on.
Welcome, Lori. If you would like to unmute yourself so that you can talk, please feel free to hit the microphone at any time. If you feel like you need to be muted because you're someplace that is loud, you can keep yourself muted if that makes it better. But we want everybody to feel like this is a live conversation. Welcome, Lori.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right today. Good to hear from you. And then also, if you want to share your video with us, you can just click the thing that kind of looks like a very simple camera, and I'll go ahead and share your webcam.
Entirely optional, though. Although Alyssa made us share our webcam, so you can see us in our office here in Alexandria. So we have Deborah, Lori, Susan, and then us. So we're waiting on hopefully 2 more folks, maybe?
Yeah. But we are recording, so if you wanted to get started.
Yeah, good point. I'll tell you what, let's come, we'll do 1 more minute and then we're going to jump right in. Let's just check that we don't have any emails from folks struggling to get in. No.
Check mine as well.
Everyone.
So far, so good.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, folks. I think you know myself and Alyssa by now. That's the 2 of us there. I'm the Senior Manager for Education Initiatives, and Alyssa, new title?
New title, let us try to update that. Will be Manager for Programs and Partnerships.
That's right. Alyssa joined us formally, so we're really excited after 2 years here. She's going to be coming on in a more permanent role. Very excited about that. And this is our state workshop planning. So as you know, each of you was the winner of one of our, formal title. Let's see, 2017 National PTA STEM plus Family Science Festival Regional Grants, sponsored by Bayer. Did I get that?
Yes.
I think I got everything there. So the idea behind the state grants, as you know, is that hopefully by working together with your states, and you are then working with the local units, and then also doing, because as you remember, the requirements were that you help do 2 science festivals within your own states or regions, and then that you also do a session at your state convention. And our goal here is to help build capacity at the state and local level beyond, right? So national PTA doesn't have to be doing this. When we wanted to work with you, you're the pilot, you're the first 5 that we're trying it with, and so we're really looking forward to your feedback. What did we do well? What could we do better? How could we better support you? How can we better mind our own business? Whatever it is that, the feedback that you're giving us. And so what we wanted to do today is we're going to have a bit of a share out, and then we'll talk specifically about your state workshop planning. And the reason we're doing that is we've gotten some explicit questions around, hey, what should I be doing at my state convention? I'm supposed to be doing this. That's part of the grant. What am I supposed to do? So we're going to provide some suggestions. Again, it's entirely up to you what you do, but we will offer you some suggestions today and let you decide. So before we go on, Alyssa, can you do a quick review of just of the technology and what folks should know around if they want to show your webcam, you can. Everyone should be able to see Alyssa and me at the top.
And I think we just had somebody join on the phone. Is it Julie or Anne? Who do we have with us? Oh, nope. They hung up. Okay, so you can, if there is the option to call in if you do need to use your cell phone, as there is with any of our webinars, but just to go over it one last time. Along the side, it's a little bit easier to navigate than the webinar is. There are a little bit bigger buttons. So if at any time you would like to unmute yourself to speak, please go ahead and do so and just click on the microphone. feel free to leave yourself muted if you're in a loud place, or you can stay unmuted if you're someplace where you feel comfortable being able to speak freely. We want everybody to be able to join in the conversation. If you would also like to share your webcam, please go ahead and do so. That is the very simple little camera button that's 2 below. And then also, if while we're talking, if there's anything that you would like to show to the entire group, if it's any flyers, any pictures, any PowerPoint that you've already started working on and you would like to become the presenter, you can also click on that middle little TV monitor button to share with us to show what you're talking about and describing as well.
All right. Thanks, Alyssa. So this one's a little bit different. It's a little more intimate, but it's also because there's only the, there were 5 regional and state winners, and we wanted it to be more of an interactive experience. So that's why you have the ability. We have unmuted everyone, so it's up to you to mute yourself. You have the ability to share webcam if you want, and you also have the ability to share your screen if you want. So we are hoping to have a discussion. You will see. Here's our agenda. We're actually going to, let's launch right into a share out. And then we're going to talk about resources that we can provide, and we'll give you a sample workshop agenda for your state workshop session, and then we'll take any questions. So we're opening and closing with chances for you to share out and to learn from each other. And at the end, if you have any questions about anything that comes up along the way, we'll take those. And as you know, Alyssa and I are both very committed to responding to your questions after the webinar, this is still a webinar, right? If after the webinar, we'll respond to your questions via email if you don't get anything answered today, and we'll share out any resources. We'll send you anything we can, including this PowerPoint, by the way, so that if you want to lift some of our slides for your session, that'd be awesome. And it looks like we might have caller 3 joining. Caller 3, hopefully you're here for the Bayer State Workshop Session webinar. And it looks like you're calling in from a phone line, which is great. You may need to keep yourself on mute except when you want to talk. And if you are able to just introduce yourself briefly so we know who we have. Is there somebody who just joined?
Yeah, hi, it's Julie Von Hafen from Wake County PTA, North Carolina. Sorry, I'm having technical issues.
Oh, it's okay, Julie. Thanks for joining us. We're recording this one as well, and we'll send out the recording afterwards too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm just on the phone, so I'll follow along. Thank you.
No problem, Julie. We're actually getting would you like to hide all webcams and stop sharing your webcam? Well, since we're the only people showing our webcam, and I think you all know what we look like, I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing my webcam just because my internet's saying it might slow us down. So if anyone wants any pictures of us, you can rewatch the first 10 minutes of this video, and you'll see that we are actual live people.
Yes.
So we're going to stop sharing our webcam just to keep the internet going. And then what we're going to do, so we're going to do the share out. And the first share out we'd like to talk about so we're focusing on the state convention session. And we're going to ask, what are you planning for your workshop? Do you have any ideas? Do you have anything yet? And let's just take folks in the order that they joined the call. So I think our first caller was Deborah. So Deborah, can you tell us, and just introduce yourself to Lori, Susan, and Julie, and just tell us what you're thinking, if you have any plan. And it's okay to say if you have no plans, but we just wanted to allow you to kind of throw something out there right now.
Okay, thanks. I'm a little croaky, so apologize. I am Deborah Seelinger. I am the immediate past president of Minnesota PTA, and I live in Rochester, Minnesota, in the southern part of the state. I work in conjunction with our advocacy commissioner, Kathy Nathan, who I call the brains of the bunch. My job is mostly to bring the checkbook and the cookies, is what I always say. We have done one of our events already in Bloomington, and our second event will be in Duluth week after next. Our convention is scheduled for Saturday, April 14th. We have set aside a 30-minute workshop that Kathy will be leading, and we hope to have at least one, if not both, representatives from the schools that we did festivals at joining her. And then we also do a just checking if we actually put that in our convention schedule or not. I think that's all we're doing for our STEM workshop. We discussed having something else, but
that's a great start.
So I know that Kathy is very excited. So actually our program is going to the printer this week, and our description, which I would be happy to share, I can email to you, says this National PTA program has come to Minnesota. Hear about how MNPTA and 2 local units collaborated to put on this amazing family event and what plans are being made to launch this statewide. Warning, be ready to do hands-on science.
Awesome. And then Deborah, I know from our end that Jim Accomando will be joining you in Minnesota. So if you could share that with me, I'll make sure that he knows ahead of time that you guys are grant recipients and to be on the lookout for this specific workshop.
Actually, I don't think Jim is coming to us unless that's new news. We're getting Nathan.
Oh, Nathan is coming. Okay. Well, same. I can share the same information with Nathan. I'm sure he'll be really excited.
Jim is welcome if he's free that weekend, but I kind of doubt he's free.
Yeah, Deborah, if you want to share any of those resources or flyers you were mentioning or PowerPoints, we are happy to, you just send them up to us and we'll send them out to everyone else. And it would be the same thing for all of our states. If you were open to sharing your stuff, we are happy to, just send it to Alyssa and we will send it out to everyone, just so that everyone can benefit from sort of a communal resource pool. And that's, in fact, one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to give you a couple of resources or slides you might want to put into your PowerPoint easily. So let's shift now. Who was our second caller?
Susan was next.
Susan,
Welcome,
do you mind filling us in a little bit? So if you could unmute yourself, and everyone else can probably mute themselves just while we listen to Susan for a minute or two.
Okay, that's fine. Our convention is April 20th to 22nd. We have done our first science fair down in Cincinnati. I'm the state president for Ohio PTA. And our next one is up in the northern part of the state, and it's tomorrow night.
Oh,
so actually, we found that really helpful to have about a month in between, because I could come back and share with the tomorrow's festival what we thought about how the first one went. And there are 2 kind of different designs. And what we are planning for our state convention workshop, it will be an hour. And I'll probably lead off with a basic, with the PowerPoint, using some of your slides. They're really good. Sharing why STEM, connecting it to family engagement, and how it truly does make a difference, extending the learning day. Go ahead with some basic information on, what experiments were done, that the fact that we had 2 different ones in terms of Cincinnati received the materials kit, and tomorrow night are going to purchase all their own supplies. And so that'll be a nice contrast. We definitely have presenters from the local unit, Pleasant Valley, that will be hosting theirs tomorrow night. And I have received a commitment, but not confirmation, from the Cincinnati Science Festival. And if that's not possible, one of my local area district advisors who attended the event with me can step in and talk about the event also. So the panel discussion will probably, we're figuring maybe 15, 20 minutes of it. I do like the hands-on idea. However, I'm not sure, we don't do tables. It's all set up and we really can't. And by the time I saw that idea, I said, oh, but we can't change our room setup. It's just chairs in a row. So we're trying to decide, is there a science experiment they could do sitting in a chair? Possibly the balloon with the skewer may work.
That would be
it's
a fun
not
one.
messy.
That would be a fun one.
I think that might work. I mean, the lubricant may, but if you only had a little bit, they dipped the end of the skewer in, it might work without being terribly messy. The other one could be the candy. So I'm going to think about that, because neither one will be messy and neither one requires pouring, which for our room setup won't work.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Susan. We actually just did the balloon one here for our board of directors at the National PTA. We were presenting on the STEM Plus families and talking about y'all and talking about all the different science festivals and other initiatives. And with the balloon one, it recommends cooking oil or even Vaseline. We've done it with just the two, the skewer and a balloon. That's it. I mean, yes,
Okay.
You can add the Vaseline or the cooking oil, and it gives you a little bit more, or reduces the friction and increases the likelihood of success. But it works plenty well with only two things: balloons and skewers. So it's a real easy kind of hands-on, one that's accessible and really cheap. So that's a good one to kind of get folks going. And you can talk about polymers and depending on the science involved. So thank you, Susan. We now have, let's see, Lori, I think you were our third one to join. Would you mind taking a minute or two telling us what you're doing, especially with respect to your state workshop session? And also introduce where you're from, Lori.
Sure. My name's Lori Wathen. I'm with the Oklahoma PTA. I'm currently serving as the special education chair, and our grant was written to provide inclusive STEM events. So really doing concentrated outreach to students with disabilities to make sure that they feel welcome to attend the STEM events. We've held our first event in Lawton Public Schools at a middle school. It was very successful. We had 70 plus attendees, and the surveys were all very good. The parents enjoyed it, the students really enjoyed it, and even the volunteers had a great time. So we were very happy. The challenges on that was maybe the supply challenges, which I think everybody who had one before they started purchasing their own supplies might have ran into, but hopefully we have that all worked out. Our next event is going to be May 3rd at Carnegie Public Schools in Tulsa, and so we're looking forward to that event as well. For state convention, our Oklahoma State Convention is not until July the 13th through the 14th. We will be having it's either 45 minutes to 1 hour session, and our plan is to share out the two events that we've hosted, and what were our challenges and what were our successes with those events. Just kind of giving participants in that workshop session a how-to if they want to go back to their local PTA unit and host an event. I really like the idea of doing one of the STEM activities in the workshop, and so we will plan on doing that also. We also wanted to partner with a local STEM group or a vendor and have them briefly talk about what they can offer to the local PTA units as far as STEM programming goes. And then what we're hoping to do is participants in our STEM session, we are going to award one of them a small grant, smaller than what we gave to the two other units, to go and host their own event at their PTA school.
That's a great idea. I like the hands-on grant. Really like how both you and Susan are going to do hands-on activity, and I know Susan talked about bringing in some of the local presenters as well. So that was outstanding. And I think Deborah also said she was going to have representatives from the schools joining her in Minnesota. So we're getting some good ideas coming up so far. And then I think last is Julie, do you mind unmuting yourself and just chatting a minute or two? Introduce yourself, chat a minute or two, what your thoughts are for your state workshop session.
Hi, I'm Julie Von Hafen. I'm the president of the Wake County PTA Council in near Raleigh, North Carolina. So we are a little bit farther behind than y'all, but we have our two schools are doing their STEM nights actually a week from Thursday. So next week, and then the next one is the next week after that. So I don't have any feedback yet on how those events are going to go, but hopefully they're going to go well. The schools are excited about them, and we've been in touch with them in the planning process. So, and then as far as our state convention is in the end of May. And so right now we're planning, and the way that we're doing ours is we're doing several sessions highlighting all the different national PTA programs. And so the STEM Plus families will be part of a larger presentation, about schools of excellence and reflections and all the and the reading program. So my part will be part of that larger presentation. And I plan on having it, like the other participants said, having the people from the two schools. I'm hoping that our council will pay for their registration fees, so that we're trying to increase attendance at our state convention. So by paying for them to attend, I think that will help get more schools there represented, and so they're going to come hopefully and present. And then we're also doing, we have a vendor fair at our state convention, and so my plan is to use part of our grant money to buy the materials to do the experiments during the vendor fair. And so when people are walking around, they can visit our table and see several of the experiments, and we'll have information there about how to do their own STEM night in case they don't attend our workshop.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you, Julie. I think you all have probably teased out most of the good ideas we were going to share, but we'll go ahead and share something down the road with you. We do know that people love coming for prizes. People love coming and hearing about hands-on activities that were a great success. We do have a couple of tips I think that might help even more. But in terms of attracting people to your session, love that idea of awarding a small grant or prize, telling people you will leave with hands-on resources and lessons, and that can even be connecting to the National PTA Kit, the National PTA Toolkit. So we're going to keep going. Let me unpause. And then
Click on the hit play. Nope. Again.
What am I doing?
You hit the play button.
Sharing screen. It should be okay. Alyssa, do you want to chat through? Tell us what we're looking at.
Sure. So Sean and I wanted to make sure that you had easy access to all of the different logos and the most up-to-date ones. Bayer has updated their logo around Christmas time. So right in the center there is the Bayer logo that you can use. We also have the big block, STEM Plus Families, National PTA, and Bayer logo. And then they're inside the header and footers from all of the documents. So that way you guys can use them. I will send you the actual files in the follow-up, so you also have those files as well. But we wanted to make sure that you had easy access to all of that so that you can put them on your documents or use them in your PowerPoints as you need to. And then going on with the ease of access, I also reinserted from the first PowerPoint that we had done the full STEM Plus Families growth slide. So we have this from the first webinar. And then if we keep going, there's also some really cool new graphics that we have to make sure that you guys have today. And I think Sean is really proud of these, so I'll let him talk about them.
Alyssa knows me well on these. Okay, so if you could bear with me, what I'm going to do, I'll talk about both of these. The one in the top left is we have an interactive online map where you can see STEM Plus families across the United States, and it's on a web page. So I'm going to jump us out to there in a second. In the bottom right, you'll see an infographic that we put together for Bayer when we actually just submitted to get a renewal of our grant so that we can keep giving out more money up to the field and to states. and we did a summary of our work in STEM Plus Families, and Alyssa's going to send you that. You can print it in color if you want, or just refer to it. So again, both of these could be slides. You can use them at your state conventions. So let's bear with me a second. What we're going to do is we're going to jump out, and I'm going to go to the internet, which, let's see, I'm showing screen 1. So let me pull up the internet. And here is, why is it not showing? Oh, it's showing screen 2?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's showing my notes from, let me just, so if you go to this webpage, and we'll send out the link later, but it's under the PTA.org and then STEM Families Grant Opportunities, you can click through. And if you go down here, look at this gorgeous map. Let's see if I can make it large screen. I can't make it large screen right now because I have too many apps open, but I can zoom in. So this is a map of the United States, as you see, a Google map. I'm going to center it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's work with this version right here. And this is something you could do at your state conventions, at your sessions. Look at this little arrow up here. This is your pullout. So when you pull it out, you can click or unclick for each of the STEM Plus families. And since we're doing Bayer, let's just focus on, let's tell you who you are because you're awesome. So let's do our Bayer Regional Science Grant winners. This is you. We've got Oklahoma, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, and Wake County. This is your 5. Nice work. Then if we want to highlight, if we want to add in where the local science grants were, and you could even, right, you could add your own, which 2 cities, you can highlight which 2 cities in your state or region happen. Let's add the Bayer local, and you can see the reach of Bayer Science Festivals. And I think you're getting the point here. You're saying, let's add next our little, these are our Microsoft Tech Nights. We just awarded those to middle schools. That's robots. And I think you're seeing how this works, right? We can add on the Mathnasium. There's another 35. So these are our STEM nights, the actual hands-on math, science, tech. And then we had the game nights as well, where we gave out game packs of the awesome Think Fun STEM games. We add that. And then if we add in PTAs who got the 2 game pack, another 100. Look at this coverage in the United States. So we're, STEM Plus Families is spreading. PTA is a big part of it, and we're part of a big message. So this is a link, and we will send it out afterwards. This map is available to you, and you can do all the clicking and unclicking that I just did. And hopefully it helps show the extent of STEM Plus Families. So we'll jump back into our static PowerPoint, back into the slide. Okay. So this was in the top left, you saw the map, and that was the online graphic. And then down bottom, you see the Bayer infographic, which we're going to share with you. Again, we want you to have the resources to choose what you want to do at your state session. We want you to have as many options as possible. We do have an outline. We're going to try not to make it overwhelming, but we want you to have the resources so that you can adopt and change and use whatever strikes your fancy and you think would work with your families and your members, because you know them the best. So
just to underline what Sean was saying, anything that says the name of something with the underscore is a link to that direct document. So if on the previous slide, if you clicked on full map, that'll take you actually right to the map. It's not going to load on Sean's computer because he's got too much going on, but that'll take you directly to the map itself. And the same thing with the new infographic, it'll take you right to the PDF link online. So you guys should already have those inside the PowerPoint that was sent out yesterday, but I'll send them out as links inside the follow-up email as well, so you have them in multiple places. So also talking about links, we want to make sure that if you want to provide any extra resources to PTAs who attend your events, that you have the links to Making Science Make Sense to just support. There's lots of other experiments that we haven't done yet that are inside the Making Science Make Sense curriculum that your local PTAs can explore. So that is this link here, and it's a little screenshot from their website.
Okay. Yeah, definitely we know that some people brought in different STEM activities and sessions and partners and experiments, but we do want to remember that we are very grateful to Bayer, right? They gave us the money, they gave you all the money. And we are trying to scale this, and that's why, that's why we're really excited about you doing sessions at states, at your state convention. And the goal, we sometimes suggest that when you're thinking about what you can do at your session, think about it from the lens of a local PTA. What would be most helpful for them if they were thinking about doing a session? What would they like to know from you? Right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to scale these. We'd love to see more science festivals happen. And that's why we're really excited to work with y'all. So Alyssa pointed out the Bayer, and I love that we've got hyperlinks in here so you can check out all those things. Sample workshop agenda. Okay, so before we overwhelm you with a possible agenda, I want to set the stage. Alyssa and I sat down, we brainstormed, and we said, well, let's kind of put together a comprehensive agenda, and then each state and regional PTA can choose. They can pick and choose. So we're going to send this out. It actually went out yesterday, and we'll take a quick look at it here. But it's got 5 basic activities. This was a structure that we suggested: an introduction, do an actual hands-on activity, connect to the bigger picture, and then do a presentation about, because it sounds like everyone will have done their local events before the state convention. So talk about the actual logistics. So we have a comprehensive document we're going to share with you. Again, don't be overwhelmed. The goal here was just for, we wanted to list everything possible. We'll talk through it quickly. And then again, like we said, at the end, we'll take any questions. So we've got the introduction session. You can introduce yourself. You talk about objectives, and then you have resources at the table. We've sent you resources, so you can just print them if you want, if you've got local resources. And then we like actually beginning with a STEM activity. As people maybe even have the materials on the tables as people walk in, and it's something to, it gets people talking to each other. Like there's a hidden curriculum to these as well. I mean, obviously we want people to be doing STEM activities because it's experiential learning, and they're doing it at 2 levels. It's a meta exercise, right? Because they're participating in the STEM themselves, the activity themselves, but they're also thinking how that would work in a future presentation or activity that they were doing. So, and then as well as that, sort of the hidden curriculum of this, which is not so hidden, but doing an activity, it loosens people up. It encourages them to talk to each other, to work in teams. They're starting to fire up their brains. They're not just automatically getting on your phone and disconnecting. And then hopefully it helps people think, oh, this is something I could take with me. We know that people are much, much more likely to remember and bring back to their community activities that they actually engage in. So no matter how great somebody else's PowerPoint presentation might be, people are going to be talking about how they blew up a balloon, or how they shot an Alka-Seltzer rocket, or how they did something in the STEM session. And then we like to do a little debrief of those activities. You can talk about any of these things, the teamwork, why people liked it. We suggest possibly using as the 3rd item, connecting to a bigger picture. And that's where you can use the Bayer Making Science Make Sense website. You can show the online graphic that I'm so excited about, where you click and show the reach of STEM plus families. You can use the slide that Alyssa presented earlier showing about the importance of STEM. You can talk about how the National PTA and your group is working with underrepresented groups. I know especially in Oklahoma with a very intentional focus on special education students. We also know how nationally girls, children of color, and children in low socioeconomic schools are much less likely to get good STEM opportunities. And then this might be a good chance as well to ask if anyone in your audience has done a STEM event and can share. 4th part of your presentation, I won't go into all this. I just want to highlight one thing. The 4th part of your presentation, this is where you actually talk about your 2 local events. Talk about the logistics. Talk about all the things that PTAs want to know so they can do it themselves. The logistics, the food, all the resources, how you did the event. And then I know we heard from some people earlier that were going to talk about their own successes or suggestions, challenges, recommendations. One thing we have found very helpful, and you will see it here. Let me see if I can highlight this as I'm showing it to you. We really recommend, it does show up highlighted, nice. We really recommend, if you have any pictures or video from your event, we really recommend showing those to people. It just makes so much more sense. And I think hopefully you've seen that in most of our webinars. We try to show pictures of people at the events. It helps people imagine what an event would be like, what it would look like, to imagine their kids doing it. And it helps them start to think through everything from logistics around room size to number of people to prizes, all those things. So if you have pictures or video from your local events, we really think that'd be a great tool to introduce into your state workshop presentation. Last part, questions. Thank everyone. Give your contact info or whatever contact info you'd like to give for the local people. Raffle off a STEM prize if you have one. And wrap up. So these were and again, this was an exhaustive. I don't want everyone to think you need to do all of this, but we just wanted you, because a couple of people have asked us, well, I want to make sure I'm not missing something or to make sure I'm covering everything. This can be kind of your look at this as a outline that you can subtract from. You can certainly add to it as well, but I'm saying this is kind of a reminder, a little checkbox you can go through and say, okay, check, I did this, okay, I'm covered. All right. I am going to get us back to our slide presentation. And what we would actually like to do now, you'll see here's us using pictures, right? And these are all pictures of Bayer Science Festivals. What we'd like to do now is take questions. We have about 20 minutes left. We don't know that we'll need all that, but we'd like to take questions from anybody, any reaction to what we shared so far. And maybe what we'll do is take it in the opposite order from earlier. I'm only structuring this just because I know on a webinar sometimes people, so we would take Julie first. I know I don't want people I want to let everyone have a chance to speak, and I know sometimes it gets awkward with people jumping in because we can't see each other. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go through one round in reverse. We'll take questions from, what's reverse? Julie, then Lori, then Susan, then Deborah. See if you have any questions, any response, any feedback, and then we'll open it up and take any general questions, and then we'll wrap up. So let's see, Julie, is there anything so far, any questions, anything you want to respond to, anything we're missing? Let's go ahead, Julie.
I don't have anything right now. Just because I'm on the phone, I need to go home and look at the slides you just showed, but it sounds all like great information.
That's a good point. You're on the phone, you can't see the slides, but I like that you're trusting us that they're great slides.
I'm sure they are.
Okay. And like we said, we are going to send this to you. Actually, we already sent it out. But if you want to take this stuff, please do. I mean, I know in teaching, we always used to say beg, borrow, steal. Our goal here is to try to make your lives and make your sessions as easy as we can. So if we can help with some of this, I mean, you're doing enough on the ground work yourself, enough hard time intensive stuff that if we can help make some part of your job a little bit easier, we'd love to. So please do that. Who would be next? Lori. So we're going to put Lori, and then we go to Susan, then Deborah. Mm-hmm. So Lori, comments, questions, feedback, thoughts, anything?
Well, I don't have any questions either. I just wanted to thank both of you guys. This has been such a well-organized grant program, and you guys have provided so many resources and templates. You've really made our job at the state level very easy to implement these events, and you've given the local units just everything and more that they've needed to host these events. And the agenda outline is going to be very helpful, so we're not all recreating the wheel, so to speak. So thank you guys both very much.
Thank you very much, Lori. We really appreciate that. I'm going to share that with my boss, so hopefully we'll all have jobs next year. And we are going next to Susan. Comments, questions, feedback, anything at all?
I think this webinar was really helpful, just in hearing what other people were planning for their presentation, plus the materials that you provided. I really like the idea of awarding a small grant and also the tabled at the vendor fair. I think we have one unsold table, and perhaps I'll commandeer that. I do have one thought for anyone who has not held their festival yet. They really need to get the photo releases signed before the event, or as an ironclad, you can't go in and get your passport without one. My first one, even though they had said they were going to get them signed, they did not, and we're now busy trying to track down those people, identify the kids, which is why which is why my photos aren't with you yet from that festival. And so that for me is a must when you're doing this, that the local PTA has to understand that it has to get done first. It's taking us forever to do it the opposite way around. And my question would be, I've really liked your Facebook Live presentations, and I was wondering, and what I wanted to do was actually, and it may or may not be possible at this point, but to share the state convention webinar via either Facebook or on our website. What kind of equipment do you think I need to do that?
You would, so first and foremost, you would need to know about the Wi-Fi and internet situation where the state convention is. That's the biggest barrier for us in doing Facebook Lives. And then, believe it or not, all of our Facebook Lives are done on an iPhone. So
really?
Yep. It is Scott from Communications or Ashley from Communications iPhones. But the hard parts, like when we do the like the larger events, like if you've seen a Department of Education event, it always comes down to Wi-Fi. The extra supplies that they buy, there's like I can actually have them send me what they are exactly, but there's like a stand for their phone. That way the phone stays steady the whole time. You don't want somebody holding the phone. You want it to be on like a camera stand. So you would just need to set up a table and kind of beforehand check out the internet connection, and you would have the phone on a stand. Obviously, it would need to be charged. But other than that, and the phone, it kind of also needs to be close enough to pick up any of the sound, because there's no microphone outside of the phone. So like when we do them, Scott or Ashley are standing very close to us. But I'll see if they have any tips that I can share with you guys. I'll follow up with them on how to help you with that.
Okay, the other option, if the Wi-Fi was an issue and I decided simply to record it, to post it later, I'm not sure how much information, how much more equipment I need to do that. Is there somebody that I can reach out to that would know that, or do you guys know that?
I will ask the communications team that question as well, and I'll get back to you guys with that information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that would be the kind of, you need to have a capacity, right? So it would probably be using a video camera instead of just a phone.
Yeah.
Storing it and then converting it. And what we do is we convert these into YouTube links so they're easier to view. There's lots of different ways to do it, but yeah, Alyssa will check with the comms team and see. We would love to have you share this out, because like we said, I mean, hopefully the same as your goal. We want more local PTAs doing these science festivals, and we know, like, on the ground evangelists. I mean, that's what you are, or promoters, right? I mean, you've done these and you've seen how easy it is, and you've made them happen. And hopefully you're going to share that experience with. Well, we're going to share that experience with other PTAs so we can get more of these happening for all kids. So we'll check with comms to get back to you on that. But yeah, like Alyssa said, it's an iPhone. I think Alyssa has an iPhone 8, but you can do it with an iPhone before that. And it's just, we do rehearse them ahead of time. I know they don't look rehearsed sometimes, but we do rehearse them ahead of time because you do want to make sure that, people know who's standing where, who's handling what topic. But if you're just recording your state session, I think, you wouldn't need to record that. You wouldn't need to rehearse that ahead of time. So
we have seen, I also worked on the Take Your Family to School Week grant program this year, and a couple of schools did promos before their events. So if you wanted to show off a science experiment beforehand on Facebook Live, kind of hyping up the workshop, that is something that instead of doing a full hours session on your Facebook Live, if that's too much to handle, to do just a little 3-4 minute promo of the different activities and the cool things you can experience might be an option. But I'll definitely follow up with what you would need to be successful.
Okay.
And Deborah.
And then last, Deborah. So thank you very much, Susan, for the tips, the thoughts, everything. Deborah, any thoughts, questions, anything you want to share?
I agree with Susan. A lot of good feedback. I love the table idea because we know that we're not going to catch everybody. And I love the idea of having maybe everybody. Now I'm thinking, can we have everybody do balloon skewers as we're all listening to Nathan Morell's keynote? You won't mind, right? And we had talked about doing some sort of prize. What we're really working towards here in Minnesota, and I don't know if other folks are as well, but we're really developing a STEM Plus Families kit library, and so we want units to be able to come to us and say we want to do a STEM night, and then be able to check out these kits that we're calling them on all the experiments. And so we did talk about you know, maybe raffling off a whole STEM night that Kathy and I would you know, really support the same way we've helped our 2 units support. Although after the last one, about 5 minutes in, I looked at her and I said, I'm never doing this again. But it got better. So I like that idea of prizes. It wasn't something that had fully fleshed out in my mind. My question would be, and I don't know if anybody else has had good luck with this, Alyssa, but you know, we have our Bear facility in Minnesota, and I know that, you know, we kind of you know, pushed that back onto their facility, into their court. You know, I don't know if it's worth reaching out again and saying, hey, we're going to be, you know, doing a workshop at our convention. Would you like to at least come for that portion of our day? So that might, I don't know if that's something you can help with, or at least kind of get that word back to Bear that we would be open to that. We would love to show them what we're doing. So that's one of my thought questions.
Sure. So we've been trying to get the Minnesota Bayer team to come out to y'all. Do you know what time your workshop would be during the day?
Yeah, hang on, let me see. I think it's in the morning.
If you send that to us, Deborah, we will reach out to our Bayer contact, and
Okay.
we know that has, and we'll ask for that specific, right? Because it's always very easy if we say we can you be available from 10 to 11 at this time at this
Right.
location on this day, rather than say, hey, would you come to our state convention in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's at 10:30 to 11, but I'll send this via email to you as well.
Perfect. And we know that it has been, I mean, one of the goals of the program was to have Bayer work with local PTAs. We know that's been a struggle. We recognize that. And it's unfortunate. There were a couple of factors, you know, from our end, a couple of factors from Bayer's end. From Bayer's end, and specifically, as some of you probably know, like they're in the middle of a buyout and they're closing some plants and some facilities. And then there were other plants and facilities we reached out to that loved the idea, but they were like, well, we can't do that in 2 months because our employees are already volunteering X number of hours at X events that they've been doing for 6 months. Keep us in mind in the future. So there were some places that wanted to do it but just didn't have the capacity, you know. And then it was also a little bit of a challenge, to be honest, because a lot of our PTA events are in the evening, and so this was a Bayer. You know, if you're a Bayer employee and you're being asked to do this evening work on top of some other evening work and other commitments, and sometimes it involved driving an hour away. Sometimes it was a tough ask, just being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I totally understand. But just kind of wanted to bring that up. Like, you know, we do have one not super close to where our convention will be. I mean, in the metro, but we'd certainly be welcome to having them there. And we were lucky back in the day. We had an urban family engagement grant, and so when national folks came out to see our program, they connected with somebody from Target who sponsored that grant, and they brought them down to one of our sessions. So, you know, I think any of us would be happy to allow those companies in to show them what great work we're doing and kind of, you know, say, yes, please give us more money because it's making a difference.
Deborah, you've got it, and that's why we would love to. I mean, we would love to see Bayer employees there for the community and for the kids and their knowledge of science as well. But being realistic, one of the hats that we are all wearing is how do we get more funding for the STEM plus families? And you're at the state level, and we're at the national, and we would love to get more money from Bayer so we can give more money to more PTAs and more state PTAs. So, that would be a great opportunity because Bayer being involved in one of these events, they see the power of the PTA, they see our convening power, they see our commitment to family engagement. I mean, when we've taken people, corporate sponsors or otherwise, out to these events, they're always like, wow, this is, they get it, right? It kind of makes sense. Wow, here's kids and parents doing science or doing math or doing tech together. This makes sense. We want to keep working with you on it.
Yeah.
2 closing points, and then what I'll actually do is we will open it up from questions from anybody. I know that was a bit structured by us in order. So 2 closing points. One is we would love to ask you, this is down the road, but we'd love to ask you to promote next year's grants. So if you can, when you're at your state sessions, please do say there will be 2018 Bayer STEM Plus Families grants again for the local levels. And we'll get your feedback and decide whether it makes sense to keep doing them at the state level again, or the state or region level. But we will be doing grants next year. And the best place to watch out, it's the pta.org/STEM plus families, or /STEM. But we're also hoping, we will send you information about it. We'll send it to every state. So you can say to the folks in your workshop, I will have information on the grants and the grant deadline. I will make sure I forward it. But please do let folks know we are committed. We will be doing grants again next year for Bayer. It will be after the summer. And, we will, I think this year we opened it in October, was it? Or we opened it in September and closed in October. We haven't decided on the exact dates just yet on the grant. That's one of the things we're going to be trying to take feedback from this year's grants. The people who did it this year is when was a good time, and we're going to try to gather some feedback. But we will be doing grants again. And a second part that I'd like to ask is if any of the 4 of us, Julie, Deborah, Lori, Susan, if any of you are already planning to go to PTA National Convention in New Orleans, I'd love to have you on a STEM session with us there. Unfortunately, as you know, we're unable to offer discounts or incentives or anything to get people to come down to the convention. But so that's why I'm saying if any of you are already going or already planning, I'd love to invite you to be on a session where you could talk about this, and then you can be a presenter at the National PTA Convention. So if anyone's doing that, could they please weigh in now? And then I will also just open up for another minute or 2 of questions. Anybody going to National Convention?
Sean, this is Susan. Yes, I am going.
And Sean, this is Lori, and I'll be there also.
Oh.
This is Deborah. I will be there as well as Kathy Nathan, who I think actually did the application to be a STEM presenter. So we will both be there.
And I'm going as well. This is Julie.
Holy cow. I was hoping for 1 out of 4. Okay.
We'll have to meet for a STEM coffee.
Yeah, that would be great. So what I will do, that's awesome. Okay, so I now have 4 of you going. I don't know if anyone, I'll send out some sort of email to follow up just to see if anyone has particular interest, or if anyone is, once we know the STEM session, I'll try to figure that out. We probably want 1 or 2 people at most, and I'll just tell you why, just because we're trying to get a panel with somebody who did a tech night, and then somebody who did a math night, and then somebody who did a science festival as well. So that puts us at 3 people already, just, trying to get them from maybe a game night person. So that's why, if anyone really feels strongly about it, otherwise I'll send out an email, and if everyone is interested and available, honestly, what I'll do is I'll pick name from a hat, just to be transparent, because I think you're all wonderful, and I've really loved this session, and I'm really appreciative. So if everyone is available, I'll send a follow-up email, but if everyone's available and interested, we'll just, Alyssa and I will pick a name. We'll put 3 or 4 names in a hat. We'll pick one randomly. Again, just because we really, I think each of you would be valuable, bring something different to the table. And thank you. Last questions, Deborah, Lori, Susan, Julie. Anything you want to ask everyone else, or anything? This is our little group. Anything going on?
I had a question. This is Lori. I was wondering, would it be beneficial to you, as you're approaching Bear for additional grant money, for us to write a thank you letter to them for providing these grants at the state level? And/or I still have one more STEM event. Would it be beneficial to have the kids that attend that STEM event, we could have a table with some paper for them to write a thank you? Since we weren't able to get maybe Bear to come to us, maybe we can bring a little bit of the STEM event to Bear in lieu of some thank you cards for them.
I love it. Those are great ideas. And what we'll do is, there's a person at Bayer. We have Diane as our contact. I think she was on one of our webinars early. But her boss, Sarah Toulouse, is the one who would share that inside of Bayer. Like, I'm just imagining, if we're able to send them a thank you, and it's got kids' pictures, like, they would love that at Bayer, I think. And it really would get across, our appreciation, but also our ability, your ability. I say our collectively, but your ability to get into the communities and work with kids on science. Love that idea. So what we'll do is Alyssa and I will send, so now we're adding a couple of things to the email we're going to send you afterwards. We will send, do you think we should send Sarah? We'll send a suggested contact info.
I
with
have the direct mailing address for them.
You do? Okay, so Alyssa will send a direct mailing address. We would love, I don't want to add extra to your playlist here, Lori, but if you don't mind, if you would just take if you draft a big poster board and then are going to send it to Bayer, would you mind just taking a quick picture of it and then just shoot the picture to Alyssa, just so we can see what went to Bayer? I don't want to, I'm not saying you have to.
Oh yeah, we would copy you on anything we sent. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. And if you send like a nice thing to, like if it's a big poster board or something, it doesn't fit, and you're sending it to Bayer, just take a picture and send it to us. That'd be great. Those are great ideas.
Okay.
Anything else?
This is Susan. Since you're doing unit grants again, is it possible, do you have saved the successful and unsuccessful grant applications? So I'm trying to put together a sort of help my units submit a better grant library. Yeah. And while some of them have sent them to me, I suspect others didn't save them.
Yeah. So, Susan, we have gotten a lot of questions on this, and what we're going to do later this summer, we're actually going to hold a session, how to do a grant application. And so we'll send out word on that, but we are definitely going to be, we've had a couple of people ask about that, so we're going to be responsive and we'll send something out. Like, it will be a webinar, there'll be some questions, some models, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Well, and as you know, Alyssa and I are available by email. So this is 2:00. We'll respect your time. We'll wrap it up. Thank you all very much for being involved, for being attentive, for volunteering to maybe be at on our session at National PTA's convention in New Orleans. And please do, if you have any questions, send them to Alyssa or myself via email afterwards. We're going to send you a big email, lots of links. Alyssa, is there anything we're missing or anything that?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.